Rabindranath Tagore called it a tear on the cheek of time. The Taj Mahal is the seventh wonder of the world, and millions of tourists flock to see the monument built by the grieving Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan as a mausoleum for his wife Mumtaz Mahal. There's hardly an Indian who is ashamed, not proud of this world-famous symbol of love. But the Washington Post informs its viewers that India has withheld funds for the maintenance of the fragile monument because, here it comes, it was built by Muslims. The Taj does indeed have many problems. There's Agra's staggering air pollution, so filthy that it is slowly turning the Taj's pristine white marble a dirty yellow. Are the authorities aware of it? Of course, for years now, the Taj has been receiving an annual face pack made of multani mitti or fuller's earth, an ancient tried and tested method to purify marble and other organic cleansing treatments. There are other issues. For instance, conservationists have warned that the millions of footfalls the Taj receives is wearing out the delicate filigree work and elaborate floor slabs of the beautiful monument. The Washington Post mentions the pollution, but in the same breath bemoans the fact that fewer tourists are visiting the Taj. And as with many other Western journalists who live in posh luchans and quote New Delhi's chattering elite, the author of the piece in the Washington Post blames both these evils on quote-unquote Hindu nationalists. Experts say that a fall in visitors is linked to many factors: the economies of the tourism source markets, connectivity, hotel prices and infrastructure, the last of which is admittedly in shambles. Quoting tourism statistics of 2015, the Washington Post links the fall in visitors to the Taj to another favorite branding given to India by the Western media ever since the horrific murder of a young woman in New Delhi in 2012, gang rape. The Washington Post has its saffron robes in a twist, calling the UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, who is also the head of a Hindu sect, a priest. It insists that the state's tourism campaign leaves out the mention of the Taj because it's a Muslim monument. Expecting a Western correspondent to research Hindu sects before writing about them would be asking for the moon. But where was the Washington Post's legendary research? The truth is this: the UP tourism campaign, which has been running for several years, sensibly decided to showcase the vast range of relatively unknown but stunning places of interest in the state and gave the overexposed Taj Mahal a break. For instance, the state's many Buddhist sites. There are plenty of wonderful monuments from the British era too. Take the All Saints Cathedral in Allahabad and the British-built residency in Lucknow. As for Muslim monuments being left out, here are but a few samples. The intricate Deva Sharif Sunni shrine in Barabanki, and the grandest of them all, Fatehpur Sikri in Agra itself, built by none other than Akbar, the grandfather of the Emperor Shah Jahan, the builder of the Taj Mahal. There are many things wrong with Indian tourism: indifferent maintenance, rowdy crowds, defaced monuments, and horrendous pollution all over the country. But do we Indians do so with only those which are Muslim? That's ignorant, arrogant imperialism, not something becoming of a respected publication. And to talk more about that report and the sort of reaction it's generated, I'm joined on the broadcast by Chetan Bhagat, a well-known author who's joining in from Singapore, and François Gauthier, a French journalist and a political writer who's joining in from Pondicherry. Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks very much for joining us here on WION. Chetan, if I can come to you first, do you feel that there's a pre-existing bias in the way that Western media chooses to report stories on India? Right, we'll get back to Chetan in just a second. Let me take that same question across to François Gauthier. François, you yourself, for lack of a better word, are a Westerner reporting on India for many, many years now. Do you feel that the Western media exhibits a certain bias when it comes to reporting stories on countries like India?
Yes, of course. I've been fighting, for such the fact that most of the Western editors, foreign editors, either ask for articles on India, whether are catastrophes or huge elections, or they're more interested in poverty and slums and controversies and fundamentalism. So for a Western reporter, it's difficult. So most of Western reporters actually report negatively about India because they do get published. They have a chance to get published, especially those who are paid per piece. There are many, there are many stringers, Western stringers in Delhi, and they get paid by piece. They don't have a salary, so they need to get published, and for that they have to fall in. They have to, they have to fall in line, and they publish stories which are often, negative on India. And it's hurt me. I mean, I always felt bad. I always felt it was wrong, but it is not changed really.
Sure. As far as this particular article goes, Francois, though, do you feel that the article's assessment itself is problematic, that it focuses too much on commentary that I think a lot of people in India are already tired of hearing on this divide between Muslims and Hindus, and doesn't really look at the larger problem of disrepair that faces many Indian monuments?
Actually, if you allow me, I'll tell a small story. To India, I drove from Paris to Pondicherry. There were 5 cars, and of course from Pakistan, from Lahore, you go to Delhi, and then you go to Agra. Agra is the next stop. So we spent the night in Agra, and at that time there wasn't so much security. So the 3 of us got locked in the Taj Mahal at night. It was moonlight, and it was a thing of extraordinary beauty. There is no doubt that the Taj Mahal is of extraordinary beauty. So yes, the article is biased. Personally, I prefer Fatehpur Sikri because I find that first Akbar was a more tolerant emperor. One was the best emperors of the Mughals. And Fatehpur Sikri, of course, because there was no water, it stopped. But I think it has more beauty. It's a city, the red stone, gives a warmer feeling. So personally, if you have to sing with the Taj Mahal, I would rather, go to Fatehpur Sikri. But that's a personal opinion.
Fair enough. It seems that the article itself might be a personal opinion, but that's another topic for conversation at another time. But Chetan's back with us. Chetan, do you find that it's ironic in some ways that the article calls the Taj a quote-unquote Muslim monument?
I mean, firstly, don't get me wrong, Taj is an amazing, one of India's most famous and deservedly so most famous monuments. But I think about India, if you think India, Westerners will think Taj. And I think it's sometimes at the expense of other very beautiful places. Whether it's a Hampi, whether it's Meenakshi temple in the south, whether it's Ellora, those who've been there will say that they are no less beautiful. But Taj is the icon of India. So I think it's a bit rich to say that Taj is not being taken care of, because I think Taj gets a little more pampering than many other places who are in much bigger ruins and not. Still, I don't deny that maybe there is neglect. But to bring a religion angle to it, I mean, I think that's the problem. You can say, I'm not one of those people who feels that why is the West saying India is dirty? Okay, by their standards, maybe, yes, we need to be cleaner. But to say that it's dirty because it's Muslim and Indians don't care about that, I mean, that's just too much. That's like we saying, something is a white monument in America and something is a black monument in America. And even things like what they've said that Yogi Adityanath didn't included in the list of tourist monuments and something. Maybe. I don't know the facts of the case, what really happened. But if Trump says something, does that mean America is saying it? I mean, Trump has said Washington Post is fake news. So is the leader of America saying that? Does that mean that all Americans think that way? I mean, so because why have they put a headline that is India not taking care of the Taj because it's a Muslim monument? And this is, if many people all over the world read it and base their opinion of India on these headlines, they're not going to read the whole story. So I think it's a bit wrong to do that.
Fair enough. I think the headline is particularly galling for a lot of people. But Chetan answer this for us. Do you feel like this article is only part of, let's say, a global network of left liberal media commentary, or do you think that there is more to this story than meets the eye?
To be seen as extra liberal, or just to kind of trying to stir things up a little bit, it's clickbaiting. If nothing else, it's clickbaiting. Because it's getting a reaction for sure. But, they have to realize India is, at best of times, it's a sensitive place. you don't have to add the Hindu-Muslim color to everything. And I think that's what maybe they don't realize. It's maybe just a dramatic piece of news for them and just a bit of fun they're having at India's expense that, people are going to click, hey, Taj Muslim, what is this? But it's not good because it divides my country up. And this is a classic, maybe it's not intentional. It depends. I leave it to the reporter in question to answer that. So I will not ascribe motive without knowing what it is. But it's definitely regrettable.
Fair enough. Francois, the article's headline itself, it uses the words India, neglect and Muslims. Do you find that this is clickbait? Do you find that these are purposefully problematic use of words?
No, I think at the moment, of course, there is a lot of, news about Islam, about attacks in the West. People in the West are, becoming very, I would say, nearly obsessed with security. So I don't think that was really, really bad. But I agree with Chetan. There are monuments in India like Hampi, like Vijayanagar, which are extraordinary, and there's a bit of injustice there. Because everything is about the Taj Mahal, and whether it is in UP, whether it's in the south, the Meenakshi temple in Madurai, Vijayanagar, which really is an extraordinary place, and not as much visited as the Taj Mahal. So there is an imbalance there. Everything is about the Taj Mahal, but we need to, India is a place of beauty. We need to highlight other temples, other monuments, regardless of religion. So Chetan had a very good point there. The other thing I wanted to add also is that I just wrote a history book in French. It was published 2 weeks ago in French. Now, in the 16th and 17th century, most of the heroes and heroines of India considered that the Mughals were foreigners. People like Shivaji Maharaj, like Maharana Pratap. They considered the Mughals as foreigners. So, it is true that, there has to be a little bit of beyond religion, but a little more emphasis on other monuments on India, which are being neglected. So I think Chetan had a very good point.
Do you feel, Francois, though, that the word religion itself, it's such a loaded word, especially in a multicultural and, let's say, a pluralistic society such as India, that any mention of the word religion in the same breath as, let's say, a monument or history, it's bound to create this sort of controversy?
But the controversy has been there for decades. I remember the Kutub Minar in Delhi. That many historians have pointed out that you can still see some of the ruins of the temple, of the Hindu temples, on which it was built. That the iron pillar, actually a pillar built, Vishnu pillar built by Ashoka. So the controversy is there. There have been rumors also that the Taj Mahal has been built over a raised temple. It was normal for Muslim invaders. They felt that that Hindu temples were something very wrong. So it was normal for them to destroy them. So usually they built mosque over them. So the controversy is there. We shouldn't also be blind to it.